Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video, doing USA forecast for today's second video. So as always on a Wednesday, we're having a look at the weather for the next week's 10 days in the United States. I'll get on that for you in a moment. Just say about the first video today was our 7 a.m. forecast. We've got the 10 to 14 day for UK, Europe coming up, and then a Christmas sneak peek at 7 p.m. this evening. Please check out all today's videos. Thank you so much everybody for doing that. Right, let's have a look at what's going on in America then. So we've got a disturbance area. After weeks of quiet weather in the tropics, we've got a disturbance area off the east coast of America. It's a long way north. It's an area of low pressure that's giving a proper northeaster to those northeastern states. It's disturbance 1 with a 10% chance of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours and a 40% chance of cyclone formation in the next 5 days. That low pressure is going to sort of move out into the Atlantic in that sort of way, and it's at this point, but it might develop into some sort of subtropical or tropical feature by the time we get into the end of the week and the weekend. But at the moment, just an area of low pressure off the east coast of America. This is how the latest GFS is forecasting things in terms of the tropics for the next couple of weeks. This is tropical tidbits. So just so you know where everybody is, that's the east coast states just there. This is the Gulf of Mexico just there, Florida there, the Caribbean is through here, and then this wider waters of the tropical Atlantic Ocean just here. So this is the low pressure that's bringing the northeaster, heavy rain and very strong winds to those eastern, northeastern coasts at the moment. That's going to move in that direction and might acquire some subtropical features over the next day or two. So as we push through, we can see that that low pressure does indeed sort of move out into the Atlantic, moves away from the east coast. Another low, though, sitting in the southeastern part of America. This one just here bringing heavy rain and potentially some quite strong winds as well. That sits around the east coast as we go through into the weekend, or the eastern part of America, and the west, bringing lots of heavy rain through there. Otherwise, not much going on through the tropics until we get to the end of next week. This is Friday, 5th November, where an area of low pressure is pushing through the Gulf of Mexico towards Florida. That might be a tropical storm, and as that emerges out into the Atlantic, it looks like that deepens, maybe in becoming a weak hurricane, and another area of low pressure follows in its wake towards those eastern coastal parts of America. So we've got two areas of low pressure there by the 6th of November that could be, could be tropical features, might be tropical storms, maybe even relatively weak hurricanes, Category 1 or Category 2 hurricanes. But it definitely looks like things are going to liven up next week across those southeastern parts of America, the tropical Atlantic and whatnot, after being pretty quiet over the past few weeks. We go through to the very end of the GFS, and we've actually got another feature that's emerging towards the east coast just there. That gets us to the 12th of November. So, as I say, we've had a shutdown for several weeks across many parts of America, but it does look as though things are now getting more livelier through many parts of those tropical and subtropical coastal areas. So we will need to keep a close eye on what's going on there. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. Next couple of weeks, we'll look at Frankfurt today. So red line is in Kentucky. The red line is 30-year upper air temperature average for Frankfurt. We're starting off pretty warm at the moment. There's going to be a big cool down taking place through the course of next week. Things are going to be going a lot colder into many central, eastern, northeastern, midwestern parts of America with a proper old cool down going on. We do have several GFS ensemble members that are looking really quite cold actually by the end of next week, around the 4th, 5th November. Some of them are going down to -5 at 858 degrees. Been a very warm autumn fall across many parts of America up to this point, but now it looks like we're beginning to progress on into proper autumn and also early winter conditions. By the second week of November, we might see a little bit of a cooling trend. Precipitation-wise, a little bit of warmer trend, I should say. Precipitation-wise, going to be lots of rain coming up over the next few days with that big trough sitting in the east and central part of America that I showed you a moment ago. Then it will go a bit drier through the early part of next week before the rains come back as we go through the first week, 10 days of November. Temperature anomalies shall be 27th October to 4th November, going to be warmer than average in the western, southwest states, and also in the northeast, a little bit cooler for some of the central parts of America. I think there is a general sort of slight cool down in evidence there, and that will probably be developed more actually with these anomaly charts over the next few days. Precipitation anomalies dry in the southwest and also in the northeast, a little bit wetter through those central states. This is how the latest GFS run is looking. So low pressure off the east coast of America, bringing most northeasterly winds and heavy rain to those eastern coasts. We've got a ridge building pushing through the midwestern and some eastern states, so it's more unsettled out towards the west. Pushing on with the upper air temperatures, they look really quite warm across most parts of America at the moment. So yeah, you know, it's a warm setup, warm scene, as it has been through most of this autumn so far. Now, that low that's giving the northeast, so that moves out into the Atlantic, and then the next low pushes through as we go into Thursday and Friday. That's a big area of low pressure sitting through those eastern states, will bring heavy rain to many parts of eastern America, drier out to west under a ridge of high pressure. Through the weekend, that low pressure pushes northwards into the northeast states, will bring further heavy rain there, and as it moves northeastwards, starts pulling some colder air into these far northern states with this northern wind. Meanwhile, high pressure building out towards the west. That's how the upper air temperatures look on Sunday. Quite warm through many of the eastern states, but colder in most far northern states, -5 Celsius. So I'm just going to trickle in to the extreme northern states of America. Heading through the early part of next week, we keep those northerly winds pushing down into those northern states. They start to head towards the Midwest as well. Meanwhile, the eastern states are looking pretty warm. I mean, the western states look relatively warm as well. That's the middle of next week, so cold air is digging in to the Midwest here from this trough of low pressure up towards Canada and those northerly winds. That's how the upper air temperature look by the middle of next week. So definite cool down taking place across many parts of America, actually. Even in the south, we're cooling those temperatures down quite significantly. Up in the north, it is turning genuinely colder with the -5 Celsius isotherm there through many of those northern Midwestern states. Even into the eastern seaboard, it's beginning to turn colder. So a general cold trend through the course of next week. Colder trend through the course of next week. Up towards day 10, low pressure then in the southeastern part of America. That might be a tropical type feature. High pressure building through the Midwest and pushing into the east. That should turn things drier. At the same time, low pressure out in the west will bring more in way of wet weather to those western and northwestern states. Upper air temperatures after that cool down through the middle of next week, begin to lift back up again as we go into first weekend of November. And then on into the extended range, the high pressure veins slipping over towards the east coast of America, start to pull up some warmer air from the south. And then a deep area of low pressure develops around the Midwest and starts to pull much colder air in from the north. And right at the very end of this GFS run, we do get a proper blast then of northerly winds. Look at this, northerly winds really pushing, blasting southwards across much of the Midwest and eventually into the east, bringing the coldest shot of the season so far with -10 Celsius pushing in from Canada into those Midwestern states. That cold air then transfers eastwards into the eastern part of America. Again, we dig with -5 Celsius ice all the way down to the Gulf Coast. -10 Celsius ice through the Midwest as well. Big cold shot there. Through the second week of November. At the same time, though, it's getting warmer out to the west, and that cold air does get itself onto the east coast even by the end of the GFS run. So yeah, wintry blast there. Wintry's coming if the GFS midnight run is correct. Of course, it's all very extended range, and so therefore pretty unreliable. This is how the ECM is looking. So again, on Wednesday, low pressure is in the northeast, bringing in this northeasterly wind, and today, so we've got a northeaster, heavy rain in the far east and northeast, a ridge building through those Midwestern states, low pressure out to the west. Upper air temperatures look like that. It's a warm scene across most parts of America, hot in the south. Pushing through into the end of the week, we take that low pressure off the east coast away into the Atlantic, but another low is sitting here, a trough really, big trough low pressure is sitting across those eastern parts of America and pushing northeastwards with time as well, taking heavy rain and strong winds with it. The low sort of sitting through the Midwest and into the east as we get into the weekend, bringing really wet weather. Out in the west, it does look a little bit drier through there. Into the early part of next week, that low pressure transfers to the northeast, and as it does so, that's pulling some colder air into those northern states. And that's really the trend through the course of next week, with colder air digging in from Canada into these northern midwestern states. In fact, all parts of sort of central eastern America, even down into the southern states, do show a cooling trend through the course of next week. Heading in towards the first weekend of November, again looking pretty cold through the Midwest. A little bit warmer still at the east coast. I'm not sure if the GFS gets the cold air quite over towards the eastern seaboard. The warmth looks like it hangs on the east coast, but coming along and getting to Midwest, and it does get a lot colder. Out to the west, it looks relatively mild by the time we get through to day 10, which is Saturday the 6th of November. So the general trend is turning things colder over much of America, where it has been pretty warm over the past few weeks. CMX finally is a 500 millibar heights broken down to week periods. The first week period takes from 26th of October, 1st of November. The coming week has this trough digging through these northern and eastern states. So we're pulling in colder air with that trough of low pressure. Things will be cooling down. We get through to week 2, which is the 2nd to the 8th of November. Low pressure in the east and the northeast, bringing colder air from the north. High pressure is out to the west and to the northwest as well. Get through to week 3, which is the 5th, 9th through to 15th of November. So high pressure is in the west, probably still a trough through here. Could be cooler and more unsettled through the Midwest and into the east. And then week 4 is the 16th to 22nd of November. Just has this area of high pressure really centered over many parts of America. That will turn things milder if it comes off. Temperature anomalies for week 1. 29th of October, 26th of October, 1st of November is colder in the northeast, otherwise relatively warm through most parts of America. But week 2, look at this, big cool down, 2nd to the 8th of November, much colder through the central, midwestern and eastern states, warmer out to the west. Week 3 will be the 9th to 15th of November, generally quite warm through many of the northern states. Cold air is still hanging on in the southern states. And then week 4 just looks pretty warm for most parts of America, from west coast to the east coast. It's above average. And then we go through to the precipitation anomaly for week 1, 26th of October, 1st of November. Dry through the central states, wetter in the northwest and in the east and southeast, particularly the northeast, so looking very wet from that northeast that we've got at the moment. Moving through to week 2, which is the 2nd to the 8th of November. If I can get the highlights working, is it going to work? There it is. And it's dry in the east, otherwise relatively wet through the south and west. We get through to week 3, which will be the 9th, 15th of November, wet through the southern, southeastern states. That might tie back to some sort of feature from the Gulf as well, so that could be sort of tropical based. Drier through central and western states. And then finally, week 4, 16th, 22nd of November, dry in the east, wet in the west at that point. Okay then, so interesting few days to come across America. The broad story in terms of what's happening in the States is things cooling down after a very warm fall so far. Things will get colder through the course of next week, and then into second week of November we might get a really big northerly shot, the first one of the season. And in terms of a tropical storms situation, after a big shutdown in the past few weeks, it looks like things will start to liven up in the tropical Atlantic a little bit, anyway, through the early part of November. So quite a lot to keep an eye on, and we'll keep informed, of course. Right, so that's the USA forecast. This week we'll do it all over again next Wednesday, just to say that coming up later on today, we've got a 10 to 14 day with all of regular features. And if that was enough, we've got the third and final sneak peek for Christmas 2021 coming up for you at 7 PM this evening. But for this week's USA forecast, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.